If you've never had homemade bread and butter pickles, well, get ready. These are sweet, tangy, crisp, and they have just enough bite to make them unforgettable. And we're canning them today for a shelf-stable pantry goodness. We'll be right back. Hey friends, I'm Brenda with Plan and Preserve. Today we are canning our bread and butter pickles. It's one of our favorites. I say that every time, don't I? It is one of our favorites on the shelf. In fact, I am making a batch for a family member that had requested it. And the harvest is coming in. We have fresh out of the garden, well, yesterday, pickling cucumbers. Now, you don't necessarily need pickling cucumbers. I did 2 batches, I think it was in 23, where I used bread and pickling cucumbers I got from a local farm. And then a family member that is requesting this gave me a whole bunch of regular cucumbers. And so I made bread and butter pickles from them too. We actually opened a can of each the other day. I should have got the tape where we tasted them, and honestly we couldn't tell the difference between the pickling and the regular cucumbers that you get. So it's best to use homegrown if you can. The ones in the store have a wax coating on them. If you can get the wax coating off, it's definitely pliable. But anyway, we're going to get started here, and I'll go through what we're going to need. We're going to need cucumbers, onions, sugar, vinegar, salt, mustard seed. We're going to need some celery seed and turmeric. And at the end, we'll add a little bit of this pickling crisp granulars. Let's see, calcium chloride. You don't have to use this if you don't want to, but it does help with the pickles stay crispier longer on your shelves. Process today, we have to slice the cucumbers and the onions, put them in an ice bath for about 2 hours and let them soak. I'll walk you through slicing it, brining it, spicing it, and water bath canning. This is a water bath can recipe, so it's really easy. If you've ever had bread and butter pickles out of the store, once you make your own, you will never go back because there's no comparison. We're doing the traditional bread and butter pickle recipe out of the Ball Home Preservation Cookbook. Now, in the book, it says we need 10 cups of sliced pickling cucumbers, about 1/4 inch in diameter. We need 4 medium onions, thinly sliced, a 1/2 cup of pickling salt, which is just salt. We're going to use the pink Himalayan salt. We're going to need 3 cups of vinegar, 2 cups of sugar, 2 tablespoons of mustard seed, 1 teaspoon of celery seed, 1 teaspoon of ground turmeric. And of course, we'll put in a little bit of that pickle crisp at the end. This thing says it makes 5 pint jars. Now, when I made this recipe, I had 8 pounds of cucumbers because I measure my cucumbers. And that gave me 9 pints. Like I mentioned before on another video, these don't always marry. We have, what do we have here? I measured these a while ago. We have 97 ounces, roughly 6 pounds of cucumbers. If I divide it by 8, we may have 12 cups of cucumbers. So that's why I never make my brine until I know what I have, because you don't always have equal numbers. So let me get this kind of positioned for work. All right, we're gonna do this today based on just simple tools. I'm not gonna get my mandolin out. I'm gonna hand slice every one of these. And yeah, we'll go from there. We, Missouri Ag, when we lived in Missouri, they came out with these wonderful thin cutting mats. And I know a lot of people use chopping blocks and things, but these just give me such a big cover, and I can use my wooden chopping block, which I don't like to cut into. Anyway, so we're gonna get started with that. I'm gonna get started. I'm not gonna bore you with all this. We need 10 cups, so this has 8 cups, so I'll just make it as heaping as I can. We'll see what we got. And 4 cups of onions. So, we'll get started here. Just gonna cut these off, the ends off. Throw them. This is my scrap bowl for my worm bed. My husband has a worm bed for fishing. So we like to feed them. We have thousands of worms. I told him the other day, we were out there yesterday feeding them, and I was like, you need to open up a worm stand instead of a lemonade stand. You see, he has so many worms. Anyway, whoa, we got one done. You know, and you always have to sample. Really good. And we'll be back. Alrighty, so we're on our last cucumber here. And we got, according to my measuring cup, this is one reason I like to be nerdy. My nerdness kicks in. The recipe called for 10 cups. Well, how do you know how many cucumbers are in a cup? Because they're all different sizes. Some are fatter than others. So you kind of have to guess at it. And listen, how do you know, like when you're out there picking, your harvest is coming in, it's coming in. So this is where you have to use those math skills from high school. We have 20 cups, so technically we're doubling our recipe. So now I need 8 cups of onions. We'll see how much we get. Now, a couple years ago when I put this up, I had onions. The next batch I didn't have onions, but I had dehydrated onions, and I used those. And when we tested them the other day, you couldn't tell the difference. They were all delicious. So if you don't have onions, invest in some minced onions, dehydrated onions. They always come in great in a pinch when you're pulling recipes together. So I'm gonna get these onions cut. I don't want you to see me crying on camera. So I'm gonna get these cut. Hopefully, we're just gonna use what we got. This is what I have. I have this bag, which is, what is this? 3 pounds of Valdea sweet onions. We'll see how far we get, and we'll be right back. This is my last onion. I thought I'd let you watch me cry as I finish this last onion. Sweet onions aren't as bad as like the yellow and white onions, that's for sure. When we were in Missouri, helped companies, a lot of manufacturers, producer groups, and one of them he went into was where they made those onion petals and onion rings. People worked in there. He don't know how they did it. I guess they cried all day long. So 3 pounds of onions have given us almost 8 cups of onions. Double recipe, and we have 2.5 recipes. So we have all these cucumbers, now I have all these onions. Now what we're gonna do, now I normally wear those food grade gloves and I didn't this time, so I'm gonna be smelling oniony for a while. So now we're gonna put this in an ice bath for 2 hours. Alrighty, gonna get some ice out of my ice maker. Not all of it. This is filtered water. I need to break down one day and buy me a house filtration system. Okay, so one gallon gave me all right. While the cucumbers and onions are in the ice bath, I'm just going to go ahead and get my brine in the pot. So technically we had about 2.5 batches of these pickles. And we had 6 pounds of cucumbers. We have 20 cups. So I'm going to go with, I'm going to triple the brine. So I'd rather have more than less. 1.5 cups of salt. 3 cups of vinegar, so I'm going to need 9 cups of vinegar. 9 cups of vinegar. Okay, we need 2 cups of sugar, so we're going to do 6 cups of sugar. 6-ish cups of sugar. 6 tablespoons of mustard seed. 3 teaspoons. 1, 2, 3 teaspoons of turmeric, and let it be slowly heating up. And we will be back. While we're waiting for our cucumbers to finish taking their cold bath soak, I thought I'd show you something that you may or may not be interested in, but my husband has always struggled with leg cramps. He's 67 years old and still has the issue. So something my mother did years ago, she used to make these cucumbers in a jar with vinegar and water, salt and pepper. Oh my goodness. We enjoyed them as a kid, and I made them for my husband over the years. So he loves cucumbers. So what I'm doing is making a mess. Bring it down here just a little bit. Just peeling these cucumbers fresh out of the garden. I say fresh. We got them yesterday and they've been in the refrigerator. And then we just cut them up into a jar. You could probably leave the peel on, but we don't. Anyway, these have to soak or sit in the refrigerator for overnight or a few hours. Better overnight. But I'm sure he will dive into these as soon as he knows I have them made. He loves cucumbers just sliced with salt and pepper on his as a side. I never seen anybody eat more rice and tomatoes and cucumbers than my husband. Those are definitely some of his favorites. But anyway, it's just simple. You just cut a couple cucumbers up. You'll probably get one more in there. Anyway, how do you like your cucumbers? What do you do with your cucumbers? Anything special? I think I've seen a cucumber salad that I enjoyed, but I don't remember anything about it. But does anybody make cucumber salads? Maybe you could put your recipe in the bottom, in the comments below. Our gardens are just starting to come in. Our tomatoes are still green. It's after Mother's Day weekend. Okay, here's the scientific formula. Vinegar. I do 1 part vinegar, 1 part water, so. And that's 2 cups. Yep, 2 cups of vinegar. And 2 cups of water. Pepper. Salt. Yep, that might have been a lot for y'all, but we like salt and pepper in our. I gotta go get my lid. Throw the lid on it. These are leak proof. The white ones are not. And just mix it. There you go. There's the camera. And we'll have delicious cucumbers and vinegar later. I've got the brine coming to a boil. So I'm going to rinse these really good. I know a lot of people probably can't afford to buy restaurant size colanders and pans, but there's a story behind this. We've had this pan ever since we've been married, almost 45 years. It was a gift. I believe Jimmy's mother gave it to us, or we bought it. I can't remember where we got it from, but the women in my husband's family creamed corn in these pans. And I don't even know how big this pan is. It's 28 point, oh, it weighs 28 ounces. We're to add this to the brine and bring it back to a boil. And then we'll be able to ready to label it into the jars. I think I could do this better with my hands. I can. And I'm afraid our brine, we might need to make more brine, because okay, they are reducing. I will say this. I used pink Himalayan salt. I didn't use regular canning salt, which is basically salt without iodine. And these do taste a little bit more saltier. So here's a, they're getting kind of translucent, soft. God, it tastes good. Hot. I don't know, I love bread and butter pickles. These are going to have to marinate on the shelves for a few weeks. I forget how long that is. I need to look that up. All right, we have our pickles have come to a bowl. All right, our recipe says it should make 5 pints. I had 2.5 batches. So let's start this process. Rinsed my jars out, or sanitized them in the dishwasher. It says to fill them to a 1/2 inch. See how many we get here. If you put up bread and butter pickles, do you do anything special? Do you add other seasonings? Make them hot and spicy? It might be a kind of an interesting twist. Make them hot and spicy. I was worried about brine, but I don't think I have to worry about that no more. I need a wider net to trap these pickles. All right, we got 8 jars out of 20 cups. See, these things never, ever, ever balance out. Maybe it's got everything to do with the moon. You know how dirt, they say if you dig a hole and fill it up, you won't have the same amount of dirt in the hole, but on a full moon, when you do it, you have more dirt than you started with. Maybe that's what it is. It's all about the moon. Okay, so we got 8 jars, and I have a ton of liquid. Versus water bathing. Hot, hot, hot. As soon as it gets in the green zone, I'll set my timer for 10 minutes. And this project will be done. Yay!